Good morning, my brothers and sisters, and all my friends. This morning we are going to talk about the problems of humanity and the experiments of humanity with the religion and the experiments of humanity to establish the ecosystem of peace, progress, and prosperity for everybody. The great exercise to establish the Sudarshan Chakra, the great wheel of Dharma, the great wheel of Dharma which will have the perpetual movement of divine human nature. Everyone tried to do it. As we have seen with the human history, that the Brahm Vidya, the great science of know thyself, and the great confirmation, recognition, and acknowledgement of the divine within. The God made the man in his own image. As the great Rishi proclaimed, Aham Brahmasi, I am made in the image of God. The great Hindu religion, which is based on Brahm Vidya, also degenerated, also got dismantled by the introduction of so many wrong manipulations, so many vested interests, and so much of bigotry, of divisions. The great religion which was based on truth, the Satya Dharma, the Dharma of truth, got degenerated into all kind of infinite karma kanda, which is known as karma kanda, the rituals. And it became like a shadow of Sanatana Dharma. And it got so degenerated that it introduced the greatest injustice to its own followers by introducing the caste system, by introducing the untouchability, by introducing the sacredness of the caste, by introducing the exploitation of its own followers, introducing so many divisions and boundaries that it got so dismantled. There was a day in this country, in India, where they say there had been more than 330 million gods and goddesses, Devi Devata. And if we look around now, in Kali Yuga, we don't see anybody around. What happened to those great Devi Devata, the gods and goddesses? What happened to that great Bharatvarsh? What happened to that great Brahm Vidya based on universal empathy? What happened to that great civilization which was based on the universal empathy, universal love, compassion for everybody, for every sentient being? We reach nowhere. That's the truth. Then if we talk about the great religion of Christianity, which also had the ingredients of Brahm Vidya as introduced in the Genesis, the first chapter of the Holy Bible, saying the God made the man in his own image. And then God asked the man to go and multiply and be fruitful and be the tree of life. The institution of Christian religion failed in all these three commands, which were given by the God after making the man in his own image. They could not multiply the image of God. But what they multiplied? They multiplied the mudra Rakshash. As we have known in the Gupta Vidya, the secret science of money, and all what they multiplied is that great mudra Rakshash. As the Brahm Vidya was misused by the Hindus and the great yogis and rishis of the later ages of Kali Yuga and of the present time, when everybody is after the self-glory and self-aggrandizement, and they all have turned into the Brahm Rakshasas. Because without the absolute renunciation of the fruits of your own labor, as Lord Krishna said, karmanyavadikaraste ma phalesu kadachana. Don't worry about the results. Do your duty. Do your karma, the true karma of being a human being, and work for the whole creation as the cosmic volunteer. How many of the great yogis and rishis are doing today? All those false prophets. Everyone wants to build the golden palaces and the golden kingdom of Ravana. And no one is following the great Maryada of Purushottam Ram. So the whole of the institution of Hinduism failed terribly in the present times of Kali Yuga, as it was predicted long back that in Kali Yuga, all the Maryada and all the Dharma will degenerate. But if that prediction is so true, then this is also true that we are supposed to move towards the religion of Dharma, the religion of truth Dharma, the Satya Dharma, the Dharma of truth. We are supposed to move towards Satyuga, where the truth will prevail. That's the natural cycle of the wheel. After Kali Yuga, we are supposed to go back to the Satyuga. This is a perpetual cycle, the cosmic cycle. So if that prediction is true of Kali Yuga, that there will be terrible degeneration of the Hinduism and the Dharma on earth, which we see all around. So in the East, whether we call that Hindu Dharma or Buddhism, which got the victim of Maya, and everybody is after the money. Everyone has become the Mudra Rakshas. And everyone failed. And we are so callous for the suffering of our fellow human being. And we are so happy dancing around in our self-glory that we don't care what happens to the man on the street. How much he is suffering, how much humanity is suffering from the poverty, from the hunger, and from the exploitation, and from the diseases. Nothing changed. Everything failed. We have the great institution of United Nations, which has given us our millennial goals to eradicate the poverty and hunger from the face of the earth. Where we reached? Have we done anything about it? Or are we doing, everyone is doing anything to contribute about it? We are polluting the earth and destroying the biosphere every day, every moment of our existence here as the irresponsible earth citizens, as the irresponsible custodians. We were supposed to be the custodians of God's creation here on earth. But we are so happy and we are so gaga about, and we are dancing about our ownership of earth, which we are not. We are not the owners, but the custodians. There is such a breach of trust with the whole universe and the God. The great covenant which we had with the God, the humanity had with the God, the great covenant, and we breached that great trust God had in us, that God promised to us that God will never come and disturb us and ask us and catch us by the neck and say, what are you doing? Why you are destroying the biosphere? Why you are creating such a pain and suffering for the fellow human beings and all other sentient beings who have no place to hide today, and they have no place to go and drink water or breathe. We have polluted the whole planet. We have destroyed everything. Doesn't matter how happy we are, and doesn't matter how much we are dancing about our self-glory and our achievements of modern times. But where we are sitting on the pile of atom bombs, hydrogen bombs and neutron bombs. We are at the verge of committing the collective suicide and the self-destruction. So all our experiments with religion and spirituality have failed and degenerated into terrible callousness and indifference. As the Hinduism degenerated into the religion of untouchability and the caste system and the system of divisions, all kind of boundaries and divisions, which was supposed to create the universal unity, the unity in the diversity. This is the evolutionary mandate for the Hinduism. This is the evolutionary mandate to the civilization of India. This is the evolutionary mandate for 21st century, for India to take up the high seat of 21st century leadership. By exploring and getting established in the Dharma of truth, the Satya Dharma. And every Indian is supposed to contribute, and every Indian must contribute to this great regeneration of the Indian civilization, and not only the Indian civilization but the whole earth and the human civilization. We have a great responsibility because all others have failed. What happened to the institution of Christianity is well known to everybody, that everyone has become under that system, the capitalists, what they call themselves capitalists, and I call them Mudra Rakshash. Maybe they are so happy to give themselves these great titles of capitalist, great titles of very advanced humanity. But for me, they are Mudra Rakshash. They created the system of terrible exploitation of the humanity through the banking system. And as we know that 1% of the masters are the great masters of the whole human resources through their institutions, what they call those great international corporations. And they are destroying every moment the biosphere, and they are polluting the earth every minute. They have become like the caterpillars who eat from one end and excrete from another end. We all need to move towards the great purgation, self-purgation and the Sabbath. We must take a big leave. We must take a holiday. We must observe the Sabbath from this terrible consumption, this terrible institution of consumerism. We need to stop and we need to observe the Sabbath from this consumerism. Like the butterfly, like the caterpillar of butterfly, who is one day, he's so happy chopping with his scissors in the front, all the green leaves and eating everything around, whatever comes in its way, and excreting all the time with the big mounds of excreta. They're polluted. The great continent floating in Pacific Ocean of garbage is the contribution of this consumerism caterpillar, which is born out of the consumerism of the Western society. That's the truth. And that's a product of the institution of Mudra Rakshash, the institution of banking institutions, the banking system, which is controlled by few families on the planet Earth. So we need to transform and transmute this caterpillar into a pupa, and we have to make a cave of contemplation. As the caterpillar one day, when he looks back on his mounds of excreta and the pollution and the continent of West and garbage floating in the Pacific Ocean, he says, who did it? And then he turns back and says, oh Lord, I'm the one who did it. The self-realization, he throws away the scissors and makes a coil, and he secretes the saliva and makes and weaves the cave of contemplation and becomes the pupa, the chrysalis. We need to become chrysalis now. We need to observe Sabbath and the fasting, what we call the great Ramadan, the great fasting for 40 days. We need to observe the Sabbath from consumerism and all our golden palaces and golden bathrooms. We are jumping around, whereas the 99% of the humanity is poor and hungry, without clothes, without shelter, without medical care, and without education. Who is responsible for all this? We are. We all are responsible for this, that we let it happen that way. That we let it happen, all these Mudra Rakshas to dance around and take the possession of the whole earth and the resources of the earth, which they are not the masters of those resources, because they did not create those resources. Lord God created those resources. So how could they be the owners? So that institution of Mudra Rakshas of Christianity must go down the drain now. The great Gupta Vidya, which was manipulated and misused by the Western civilization and by the institution of banking. And then we could talk about the Islam, the institution of Islam, which got degenerated into the crowdcracy, the terrible pack of wolves who are out to destroy everybody. This great Madhu Vidya science, the great wisdom, evolutionary wisdom of Madhu Vidya, the collective welfare, the collective togetherness, and the great religion of universal brotherhood got degenerated into terrible poverty. And what we see around, the whole Islamic world is suffering from terrible overcrowded beggars and all the poor people, and all those people who control the Islam, those great rich people, the emperors, who are so happy with their golden bathrooms and golden palaces, and they do nothing for their own brothers, what they call universal brotherhood, the Islamic brotherhood, which is only good to just talk about. And the whole institution has degenerated into the incredible and terrible manipulation. So that great Madhu Vidya, the great science of collective welfare, of the collective discovery of what we used to say, Gaon is Ram. Gaon Ram hai. The collective unity was supposed to give us the greatest God. The emergence of greatest divinity and the spirituality was supposed to come out of the humanity. The unity of humanity into one Islamic nation, it did not come. It turned into a Madhu Rakshasa, which is the greatest problem of the modern times today. And we see the exploitation of their own brothers, our own brothers and the humanity. We did not reach anywhere. So is truth about the Buddhism and Jainism and all those new religions. So this is not the way we are supposed to work on earth. We need to rediscover our humanity. The great human society, the great family of God, the great family of mankind must rediscover herself. We must rediscover ourselves as brothers and sisters. We are a family of God here on earth. And if you ever want to know more about, and if you suffer from the exclusive righteousness and the syndrome of chosen people, my dear brothers and sisters, please do read about your DNA origin. And you will discover that you have the DNA and you have the cousins and brothers all over the planet. If you suffer from exclusive righteousness and this selfish boundaries and separatism, please do read. Give yourself a little time to read about your DNA origins. And you will discover that in your genome, which can be now scientifically proved, that you have the cousins in Africa, you have the cousins in Japan, and you have the cousins in Siberia, and you have the cousins in Scandinavian countries, and you have the cousins in India. My brothers and sisters, we all are together on this boat of this Ark of Noah. We have to save humanity. We have to build the family of God. We have to build the Vasudev Kutumbakam. We have to drop all our boundaries of caste, creed and colors, all kind of separatism, and all kind of colors of the skin, and all kind of features of the face are illusion. It's a grand Maya. This is the greatest illusion of the human mind, that we consider ourselves as this race and this creed and this caste because we identify with our face. We identify with our color of the skin, which is a grand illusion. My dear brothers and sisters, please do read about your DNA origins. Please do get yourself tested if you want about your DNA origins, about your genome, which will define and tell you exactly that you are related to the whole humanity, that you have cousins and you have brothers and sisters spread all over the planet as the great family of God, the family of Vasudev Kutumbakam. So my dear brothers and sisters, we have to go beyond the religions. We have to establish the great universal brotherhood and sisterhood. But before I go away, let me remind every brother and sister that the humanity has failed, not only in the religions, but the humanity has failed in all the philosophies, all the meditations and all the great ideals. We have failed in everything because we started in a very wrong way. Because we discriminated the divine feminine. We discriminated our own partner in this Garden of Eden. When Adam said I don't know who gave those words in the mouth of Adam. When Adam said, when God asked, why did you eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge? I ask you not to do. And Adam replied and said, the woman beguiled me. I don't know who gave those words in the mouth of Adam. Those smart people who wanted to discriminate the divine feminine and the women. We discriminated our own partner, own other half, our divine feminine nature, our great partner to build the heaven on earth. And our very beginning is wrong. All our institutions, whether we call those social institutions, marriage institution, social institutions, cultural institutions, civilizational institutions, and everything is based on falsehood. Because we discriminated right from the beginning, as it is recorded in Bible, Holy Bible, as it is recorded in Ramayana, as recorded in all the other Hindu Shastras where they said, Sudra Pasu or Nari, ye hai tadan ke adhikari, that you should keep the women subdued under your feet. Who did it? Who spoke those words? Who implanted those words in the great Hindu Shastras? Who were those people who said that it was a washerman and his wife were talking about that Sita is wrong, that Sita was in the house of Ravana, so Sita is a bad character? Who said those? Who put those words in the washerman's mouth? Who were those smart people? Against the woman? Against the divine feminine? Against our own other half? Against the Ardhanarishwara Swarup of Lord Shiva? We started wrong from the beginning. We started discriminating the woman. Yes, we made the goddess out of, the greatest goddess, out of the Hindu religion of polytheism. And we have many images of Mother Goddess. But do we treat our sisters, our wives, our mothers at par, at the equal levels? Do we treat our daughters and sons at the equal level? Are we honest? Till we don't put these together in the Swarupa of Ardhanarishwara, the equal halves shown by Lord Shiva in Ardhanarishwara Swarupa. This is the mandate for the 21st century. Till the humanity doesn't do it, till the humanity doesn't bring together at par the equal halves of these two genders, the great gender equality, the Hinduism has to learn this. Not only just praising and talking and singing bhajans and singing songs about Mother Goddess, but we have to recognize the Mother Goddess in our own house as the daughter, as our mother, as our wife, and as our sister. We have to recognize that divine feminine with us as partner to build the heaven on earth. So that is the first charity begins at home. So if we want to do anything good for humanity, please start at home and start treating your daughter and your son at equal path, as the equal ones, as the equal genders. And then Christianity has to learn, the Western civilization has to learn not to make the women as a showcase for marketing, as the great wise people of marketing, the great business management people, the great corporate honchos talk about in their boardrooms and say, if you want to sell anything, just put a little woman in there and shake it and offer it to the world. In your advertisements, put an image of woman half naked and you will sell your product. That's what you did, my dear brothers and sisters from the West. That's your, as you have written many books, the mind of West. Please have a look at your mind of West, what you did with the gender of the other half, and what you see and what you talk about in your Holy Bible and in the Adam's mouth, the words, who gave those words that the women beguiled me? No, it was not the woman. It was the fault of both Adam and Eve, that they decided to eat this fruit of wisdom. So if we decided to eat the wisdom fruit, then we have this cosmic responsibility to use the wisdom of experiential wisdom, what we have seen over the centuries and centuries of the human civilization, that we have made a big mess out of everything, and we must use this experiential wisdom and transform this wisdom into evolutionary wisdom and become the tree of life, and get back to the tree of life and build the heaven on earth. So this is my message for the Western people and the mind of the West, and my message to the Islamic world is that please treat the women at par, together, the same gender equality, and we all have to begin at home. The charity begins at home, and that's my humble request to all the humanity, all my brothers and sisters, that there is no way out. And this is the evolutionary mandate of 21st century, that we have to begin with firm honesty and firm intention to believe in the gender equality. Because only women can help us now, because only women can be the greatest guru of the human child, and she is the only one who could help us now to create the great civilization of divine humanity on earth in 21st century. So we need the women, we need the mother, we need the sister, we need the wife to help us to teach the human child, which comes as the tabula rasa, as the clean slate, and she is the only one who can transform the human child into the divine child. The contribution of father is not so much as of the mother. We need the divine feminine, and I call upon all the female gender, all the half of the humanity, the women, that please take this responsibility as the greatest guru of humanity, and take this great task upon yourself to transform the humanity and the human child into the divine child. Thank you very much, and have a very, very beautiful day, my brothers and sisters.